In the mid to late 90s, vehicular combat games were a big deal, Twisted Metal being the most acknowledged in the genre. A series that has made a total of 8 games in the past 24 years, the largest amount released in that genre. Fans are still requesting a new entry in the series to this day. Little update. They announced that they're making a Twisted Metal TV series. Why? But what about its competitors? Rogue Trip, Interstate 76, and Vigilante 8. Unfortunately, they suffered the same fate Twisted Metal did, just a lot earlier. Rogue Trip kind of faded into obscurity not long after its release, only to become a cult classic later on. Now here's where things get interesting. It turns out Interstate 76 and Vigilante 8 have a lot more in common than I thought. Vigilante 8 is actually a spin-off series of Interstate 76, made for video game consoles. Because for some reason Interstate 76 was only on PC, but if you look it up it says that there was an N64 release, and clicking on it gives you Vigilante 8 because the game is only on PC, like I said, but Google had to make me second guess myself and check again only to confirm that it was only on PC and not Vigilante 8, which is a console exclusive. And these are not the same games, even though that Vigilante 8 takes a lot from Interstate 76. From the timeline, car selection, even the setting and situations are pretty damn close to Interstate 76. America loves oil, and people have guns on their cars. We'll go into more depth on this later. So why create a new IP? Why not just make a port? Seeing how Activision owns the rights, I couldn't see it being a big issue. Also, seems like a bold move to make something completely new, rather than using something that has already had a decent fan base. You wouldn't see that today, especially from Activision. When looking for more information, I did find out that they were developed by 2 different studios, Interstate 76 being developed by LTI Grey Matter, and Vigilante 8 was developed by Luxoflux. And turns out, even with all the similarities, not a single person who worked on Vigilante 8 worked on Interstate 76, making me believe that Vigilante 8 was originally an Interstate 76 game, but was changed close to release for unknown reasons. Now, I know I said a lot of the game was copied, but there still were a few differences that set Interstate 76 apart from Vigilante 8. One being the story. In Interstate 76, you're a group of vigilantes investigating a murder of a vigilante, Jade Champion. Seeking vengeance, you go and kill other people and their cars. Find a nuclear device and money. The people with said nuclear device want to use it because that's what they do. The cops are corrupt and can't fight back due to everybody losing their shit, all taking place in an alternate time where the oil crisis was never solved. Vigilante 8 is about an alternate timeline where the oil crisis was making people crazy. A terrorist group wants to bring down America, cops who can't fight back, the terrorists called the Coyotes, and a group of vigilantes fight back using alien-based technology to save the day and their precious America. So like I said, it shares a rough basic plot. Cars, weapons, a corrupt police force, a timeline where America is going through an oil crisis and taking place in the 1970s. Now, there are enough differences here to easily brush it off as a quote-unquote ripoff, but you could also argue that it was all a coincidence.
Wrong!
The first thing I'll bring to your attention is the release date, Interstate 76 being released in March 28, 1997, and Vigilante 8 being released on June 1st, 1998. That's over a year difference. More than enough time to notice that this might be a little close to another car combat game. So my curiosity peaked. I went and bought Interstate 76 to see what I could find, and oh boy. Upon car selection, I noticed something. The vehicles looked very similar. The Corvette, the Cobra, the semi-truck, the pickup, they were all there. Every single car that was in Vigilante 8 was in Interstate 76, with very similar paint jobs as well. Then I noticed the car names. In video games where they make their own car manufacturers, they come up with names that sometimes have similarities to the real-world counterpart. So it was no surprise that the Shelby Cobra being called the Rattler, or the Corvette Stingray being called the Manta. But every single car name is called the exact same in both Interstate 76 and Vigilante 8. Leprechaun, Leprechaun, Strider, Strider, Manta, Manta, Stag, Pickup, Clydesdale, Clydesdale, Palomino, Palomino, Rattler, Rattler, Glenn, Glenn. Also, what kind of name is Glenn? It's a fucking Jeep, not a dude from The Walking Dead. Anyways, Jefferson, Jefferson, Moth Truck, Bus, Bus. They even went the extra mile to call the van a van. No special name, just van. Usually when you copy someone's homework, you change the name to yours before you hand it in. So I continue playing the game, and I think something's wrong here. These clouds are going like Mach 5 speed. Holy shit, slow down! I'm sure this has something to do with being an older game running on Windows 10 hardware, but then why is it on GOG? Anyways, we're getting off topic here. For what little time I played the game, it was great. The cars were responsive, physics were good, even the graphics were good and had their own look to them. This is a really good whoa! Did you hear that? That sound effect. That's the exact same sound as the Vigilante 8's menu selection. Now, yes, I know that's a weird thing to point out, but we have so many similarities here already. I just couldn't help but notice it. So at this point, I'm stuck. Was it a spin-off, a rip-off, or all just coinkydink? Curious for more info, I started digging. Staying up to 2 a.m. in the morning each day for about 4 days trying to figure something that would officially connect the two games together. I ran across a lot of interesting things. Some old promotional poster, a commercial for the N64 port, a picture of the bus from said commercial, a controller that was made by Joytech with the Vigilante 8 logo on each side, some magazine covers featuring the game front and center, and a CD soundtrack you could get if you bought it at Virgin? Interesting. Another interesting product is the Vigilante 8 baseball shirt. Most of this stuff is unfortunately lost to time, with the controller only having 2 images on Google and the shirt and soundtrack nowhere to be found. Now, the next bit of information I found might actually be evidence that this was going to be an Interstate 76 game, or at least an official spin-off. What you're seeing here is Jade Champion's car, and if you remember what I said earlier,
She's dead.
but she was also a character from, you guessed it, Interstate 76. Boom! Roll credits. Hold it. This still doesn't answer my question. Why was the game not called Interstate 76 or Interstate PS1 or whatever the hell they would have named it? And to tell you the truth, I have no idea. So what now? Well, I did manage to find the names of the people behind the game and the founders of Luxoflux, but I was left again with no conclusions. At this point in time, I've contacted a few of the members and the founders and have yet heard from any of them. His Twitter doesn't seem pretty active, as the last thing he posted was in mid-2020. Out of ideas, I started looking for Easter eggs or something, anything that would finally give me peace and I could get some goddamn sleep. I checked each and every one of the maps looking for clues and once again coming up completely dry. Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. The game's manual. If there was an official connection of some sorts, it would be where they have the credits or the copyright information. And sure enough, on page 26, there it is. Bottom right hand corner, Interstate 76 universe created by Zach Norman and Sean Vesey. I'm sorry, I probably pronounced that wrong. Okay, after all that, I could have just checked the game's manual to see if there was anything confirming it was a spin-off. Am I mad I spent all this time trying to find information that was in front of me all this time? God, no. Going through this game's history and finding out everything I did was an adventure, one that I would do again in a heartbeat. Plus, I only answered one of my questions. I still wonder why they didn't call it Interstate 76. If they use so much from the game, and repeating myself once more, Activision owns both, so it's not a licensing issue. And at one point, there was gonna be a character that was from Interstate 76. Not to mention, every single car is a copy from Interstate 76. So for them to change the name and create a completely new IP is unwarranted, at least in my opinion. This originally started as a review, but I was completely enthralled that both games shared so much in common. But at the same time, we're not publicly considered games from the same universe. I still have some things to say about this game and give my thoughts on it, and if it's worth playing back then or even today. So please join me next time when we actually review the game. Thanks for watching.
Wrong!